mask?
Yes. All right. So my name is Eric Grant. Who I have sitting in front of the camera is my mom, Frida Grant. She is the garage supervisor for the Passyunk Avenue bus garage. The reason I picked my mom is because she's a huge inspiration in my life. She's been my mom for 32 years. I literally go to her when I have issues. I ask her questions about pretty much everything. When I lost my dad, I felt like me and her relationship got really stronger, and she's just pivotal in leadership within my life and the people around her. So, and she's a testament to not having a certain route to success. She's been to school and stuff like that, but she is a testament to not having to have a degree to say you're doing something or being in front of someone. So we'll begin the interview. Again, her name is Frida Grant, and she is the garage supervisor for Passyunk Avenue for the school district. So, hey, Mom.
Hey.
So the first question is, how would you describe your management style? You're in charge of a lot of people with different personalities and backgrounds. How do you ignore the perception you have of people in order to be an effective leader / supervisor?
What happens is when you're dealing with a large number of people, keeping the main thing. I asked the team that works with me, the AM dispatcher, the PM dispatcher that also work with me in dealing with the drivers and the bus attendants and the auxiliaries, what is the main thing? And the main thing that we do over at Passyunk Garage is make sure children are picked up, getting to and from their destination in a safe and effective manner. And then a lot of times that's dealing with children that have different type of artistic behavior. There are different disabilities that the children deal with on a regular day-to-day basis. So with that in mind, knowing that drivers have to deal with sometimes weather conditions, sometimes the buses aren't functioning as efficient or effectively as they could, knowing that a lot of times that's what drivers are dealing with. That means they're dealing with parents that have to deal with children that have disabilities, weather conditions, road conditions. There's a lot of things that the drivers have to deal with. So knowing that, that's what causes me to stay focused on the main thing and not to judge somebody based on their reaction to the different or the many challenges that they face from day to day as being drivers.
Do you feel that kind of like builds a environment where, like, of course it's employee to supervisor relationship, but do you see like the family type of environment in your position?
Yes, I do, and it's good that you said that, because knowing that a lot of times the drivers are faced with a lot of different conditions and circumstances, they don't always talk about what's going on at home. They try to keep that separate. So with that being in mind, a lot of times we're on the radio to encourage the drivers. Thanks for coming to work. We appreciate all that you do in the midst of not having functioning buses, sometimes having to change from bus to bus, buses breaking down, road conditions, children misbehaving on the buses, and then dealing with the parents and the administrators in the school not always being able to respond to help the drivers on the buses as well. So a lot of times we come together as an office team to maybe do a breakfast for the drivers, maybe do a lunch for the drivers, just to encourage them, to let them know that we appreciate all that they do.
Okay. Have you ever experienced an employee that was so concerned about how every decision made affected them negatively in the workplace? What do you say to change their individual mindset to seeing the bigger picture and how the entire team is affected?
So then that is one of the challenges that we face on a regular, when drivers sometimes don't make it to work on time. when they run the route late based on them. So then when that happens, we allow them to see that domino effect to where it affects the students not getting to school, because then that means they miss the different things that when you're dealing with autistic children and children that are used to things that run the same way.
Set schedule.
Yeah, we strive to remind them what you do has a domino effect on not only the children and the way they misbehave in the classroom because their whole day is offset, as well as parents not being able to make it to work on time because of them running late. All those different things we strive to remind the driver what your tardiness or your not coming to work, how it can have a domino effect on the whole operation, and that we are a team.
Right.
Yeah.
So the small details definitely play a picture in the big picture.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Do you think it is important for your boss to establish a relationship in which there is collaboration? Are you comfortable in your role asking your boss for help or even asking your peers or your subordinates? Do you think there's a lot of collaboration in your role?
Yes, I do. And the reason I do is because a lot of times what goes along with the district is experience. Because there are some drivers that are under me that have 30 years experience as drivers. So there's things that they have seen down through the years that could be beneficial again to the team operation as well as the director. Director, who is my boss, was in the same position I was in at least 3 years ago. So he's another lifer. He's been there possibly around about the same amount of time, 30 years. So there's definitely some things that he can help me better understand as a leader, and I'm very comfortable with going to him for the help.
Do your subordinates feel comfortable coming to you for help, and do you have that type of open door policy where people are allowed to come in and talk to you free willingly?
Yes. The only problem with that is because I do have an open door policy, and that door is so open that a lot of times the drivers do come in and sit down and willingly share certain things, not realizing that I am the supervisor, and then they do have to be mindful of the things that they say to me that happen on the bus, that then I do have to respond in a managerial way. So then that kind of keeps things a little tense. Because of that, they feel so comfortable that a lot of times the union have to remind them she's your supervisor. You can't tell her that.
Well, that kind of plays into the next question. Is there politics in your position? Do you operate politic free? And does having a union within your organization cause issues, or are they helpful within the organization?
Well, prior to me being in this position, a lot of times the union was working to tell the driver that management was against the driver, because it's two separate entities, management and then 32BJ.
Right.
So then
us against them.
That's correct. So now, because we have set in play progressive discipline, and then a lot of times more so as opposed to discipline, people respond better when they're informed. So when I came into the position, I strive to more inform the driver as opposed to making them think that everything happened is discipline. No, the better informed you are, the less the need there is for discipline. So then, with that in mind, now the union is also working together with management to well inform the drivers, so that, again, the more informed they are, the less the need for discipline.
Right. You're not over the. Are you the supervisor of the union reps? Are they bus drivers, or they're
bus drivers? I'm supervisors over the reps.
Okay. Can having power cloud the judgment of management? Do you have power, and do you have to show power from time to time?
Yes. Yes, I do have power, because a lot of times, it's like I said, when you strive to have that family environment, so that the drivers will not work in a place where it's a hostile work environment, they feel comfortable enough to be able to share some things, not realizing that, again, it's management versus telling your friend some things that could have happened on the bus. So it keeps the level of accountability, and I'm going to say management and driver separate.
Okay.
And yes, and then you have to be able to have balance when it comes to using that power, because, again, it's progressive discipline. You only want to use discipline when you have no other choice.
Okay.
Yeah, no other choice.
Do you think showing power facilitates the respect you get in your organization or in your role?
What I found with power, there's 3 things that I like to use: firm, fair, and consistent. So if that would define the power that's used under my leadership, if you're firm, then people know that, oh, well, she's that way with everybody. If she's fair, then people can say, oh, well, she did the same thing to me. And then if you're consistent, then the people can still say that's the same way. It's not like you have a partiality to this one or that one, but when you're firm, fair, and consistent, then people don't see it as power.
So pretty much the last question is a little personal. I know you as a woman of God my entire life, and does that relationship you have and share with God, does that come out in your job? Or is it not needed in your workplace, or how does that go for you?
Well, it's amazing that you asked that, because of the separation of church and state, and because people are accustomed, I'm going to say, in the position that I'm in, people are so accustomed to past practices. So anytime you have to bring people up to a level where there's back again that accountability, I'm always being questioned of my relationship with the Lord, because I'm asking and looking for that level of accountability. So then, when you're dealing with people and striving to get them to mature, the first thing they say, well, she's not a Christian. And then somebody was just in a conversation about that, stating that they questioned my relationship with the Lord. And so the person that they was saying that they questioned, they said, well, what is it that she does that's contrary? And the person could not give them anything, because there was nothing. All I'm asking on a job is come to work, to do your work in the most safe and efficient manner possible, and deal with the things that happen, and be what you want. Be respectful. Because then that's what God states in the Word, that we should treat others the way we want to be treated. And the one thing that's definitely needed in my workplace is prayer. Wouldn't be able to do it without the power of prayer.
Mm. Well, that's pretty much it. I really appreciate you taking out the time to come and talk to me and my professor. I know it's pretty late, but do you have anything else you would like to add?
Well, what I really like to say is, the other thing is, we talked about a lot of things being professional. When you are walking according to the Christian walk, like Christ said, then that love should be exemplified regardless. And that's the one thing that I love. I love learning the drivers. I love learning the auxiliaries and hearing the different things and the different challenges and how they react and respond. And then looking to be that leader, because I found 2 words. You can either be a Lord or you can be a leader. Because then if you're a leader, that means that you softly and gently lead to where because you're leading so softly, your ideas become somebody else's ideas because you was leading so softly.
Right.
And then the opposite of that is lording over somebody, so that when you lord, you don't gain the respect or anything because you're busy lording over somebody.
Right.
And the Savior that I served was not that type of servant. He was a gentle giant, and that's what I'm striving to be in my everyday life. And I must say, I thank God for my children and how they've grown and matured under my soft, gentle leadership. And thanks for interviewing me. I appreciate that, son. Thank you very much.
Problem. I kind of find it funny that we pretty much talk about all this stuff just in the comfort of our own conversation. So to hear it slightly in a professional manner, it's the same answer over and over again. So that consistency is still there. But thank you. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the interview. Right now, I'm going to take the time out to go over the concepts of the interview and how they related to the answers that my mom gave to the questions I asked her. The first concept is perception. And the perception is pretty much how you see people from, how they talk to you, how they act as far as behavior and stuff like that. Perception is built off of, like what they were taught from their parents, the experiences they have gone through, and the memories they have. And pretty much my mom was saying that, she doesn't allow the perception she has of people to dictate how she is as a leader. She mentioned that she likes to focus on the main thing, which kind of leaves perception out of the job environment. Bus drivers are charged with taking care of students and making sure they're safe at all times. So perception doesn't really play a part in what she does at her job. She just wants to make sure all kids get on the bus safely and make it to their destination and back home without any issues. The second concept is teams and collaboration. And she pretty much mentioned that there's a lot of teamwork involved in being the garage supervisor, especially with dealing with bus drivers. And she mentioned being comfortable with getting help from her bosses, getting help from her colleagues, and getting help from her subordinates, which is important. She's fairly new to the job. She's been there for, I think, maybe a year now, maybe a little bit more. But she knows that the experience that comes with bus drivers that have been there for 10 plus years or 15 plus years will help her be successful. And that's important to know that, one, you don't know everything. And two, there's always somebody that could possibly do the job better, or they have some insight that they could bring to the table to support you on your journey. So it's very important to always be willing to listen and learn from people that have been doing the job for many, many years. It makes everything run smooth. It would be kind of naive to ignore the people that are good at their job. They elevate you as a boss. They elevate themselves as employees. And, you want to be set up for success. So it's really important to be able to listen and learn from people's past experiences, because a lot of people say experience is the best teacher. So teamwork and collaboration is definitely a key to success in her role. And the last concept that I'll talk about is politics and power. She didn't really talk about the negative side of having a union, because she tries to make everything as positive as possible. But she likes the idea of the union bridging the gap between her and employees. She mentioned the union sometimes building this us against them mentality, but she really takes the time to engage with the union reps and make sure they feel empowered to represent the people that are under her. So it kind of creates this cohesive environment that suits the work that they do. If everyone understands what's going on, then they can do their jobs better. And at the end of the day, the number one thing is the welfare of the children. She also mentioned that, although they're union reps, she's still their boss, and the communication piece is so important. And then as far as power goes, she has some power, but again, she likes to create this environment where people know that there is a boundary, and people know what happens if they step over that boundary and stuff like that. So overall, I really enjoyed this assignment. Of course, it brought me closer to my mom because, again, we have these conversations all the time. And it was just awesome to see her in that professional element, because sometimes I just get the mom out of it. But other than that, she doesn't really use. She has to use her power when she needs to. But as far as telling everybody like, oh yeah, I'm the boss. You do what I say. She's not that type of leader. She's not that type of leader in the household. Unless, except for when we were little and, we asked why, and she would say, because I'm the mom, I said so. But other than that, she's fair and consistent. She mentioned being fair, concise, and consistent. And I believe those are really, really good attributes of being a leader. So, thanks.